Hey everybody, I'm Jason Benton. Welcome to another 5-Minute Friday. And today's topic might actually be the most common question that I get, and that is, hey, I want to buy a Festool vacuum. Which one should I buy and why? And I have addressed this multiple times, but I really wanted to finally create this video so I could divert people to it later on in the future, because I think you're going to find the information really helpful in making your decision. So I'm going to talk about the different models that Festool offers in terms of, dust extractors. And I'm going to omit the sustainer vacuum. That's a very specialized thing. So we're going to start with the Mini and work our way up to the CT48. So on the smaller side of things, you have three vacuums. You have the Mini, you have the Midi, M-I-D-I, which is this model that you see right here. Then you have their newest version, which is the CT15. Then you have the CT26, the 36, and the 48. Now, in all of these, that number means something. That number is the amount of liter capacity of dust inside of the unit. So a CT15 has a 15-liter capacity, a CT26, 26 liters, 36 liters, 48 liters. 48 liters being the largest in the Festool line of vacuums. With the Mini and the Midi that you see here, the Mini has a 10-liter capacity and the Midi has a 15-liter capacity. So what does this mean to you? That should be one of the first factors that you consider when you're going to think about purchasing one of these. And what I always tell people is, what are you going to be using the vacuum for primarily? Is this going to be your primary vac that is hooked up to multiple tools and you use those tools on a frequent basis? Are any of them high dust producers? And the reason all those things are important is because the size of your storage capacity in terms of dust and how often you're using that vacuum might be a really good determining factor in which one you should choose. So if it's going to be your primary vacuum that you use pretty much all of your tools on, I would tell you to go on the larger side of things, in a CT26 or above. If you're just going to use it here and there, or maybe it's going to be hooked up to one tool, for an example, my Capex, I have a Midi hooked up to the Capex. That is the only thing that it gets used for. So that's fine. I don't need to change out that bag very often, but that's where it comes into play. The more tools you're using, the faster you're going to fill up the bags, which is not only an additional expense because you want to buy the bags and make sure you're changing them out, but you also have to change them out. Not that it's hard, it's very quick, it's very easy. Can you reuse the bags? Yes, you can reuse the bags, but I will be the first to tell you that emptying those bags out is a little bit of a pain in the butt. So now that we've covered the capacity of each one of those vacuums, there's a couple other considerations to be made. The first one is, do you want Bluetooth capabilities? If you want Bluetooth capabilities, you have to get a Mini, a new generation Mini or Midi, or you have to get a CT26, 36, or 48. If you want Bluetooth capabilities, the CT15 is not the right choice for you because you cannot get Bluetooth on it. Now, the CT15 is the newest model. It has come in at a much smaller price point, but one of those things that you're giving up is the ability to use Bluetooth. Now, I know some of you might be saying, well, Bluetooth's really not that important to me. I used to think the same thing until I got it, and then I placed this button on my hose here, and anytime I ever want to use it, I don't have to reach down to turn on the machine, so it is a very nice feature. Now, to expand on the Bluetooth portion of it, if you get the new Mini or Midi, the Bluetooth is built into the system. So the only thing that you have to purchase additionally is the button that goes on the hose. And that'll cost you around 40 bucks. If you have a CT26, 36, or 48, and you want to retroactively install the Bluetooth on it, you have to buy the Bluetooth module that you would also have to switch out on the vacuum, and the button. That'll bring you in around 80 bucks or so. The next additional consideration is if you want the boom arm assembly for your vac. If you want to get the boom arm assembly for your vac, then the Mini, the Midi, the CT15 are not for you. The CTs 26 and 36 are the ones that are compatible with the boom arm assembly, which I used to have. It's a great device if it works for you. But again, another thing for you to consider, if that's something you're interested in and you want to get the Festool boom arm, you are limited in your options. The same thing applies if you're somebody that is interested in getting the work center setup on the dust extractor, which I currently have set up on the CT36 that I have in my shop. And previously I myself had the boom arm, and now I'm trying out the work center setup. I'm not 100% certain off the top of my head on whether or not it is compatible with the CT48. I would have to check, but I do know for certainty the work center is designed like the boom arm for some of the larger vacs being the CT26 and the CT36. And finally, the last thing that I want to talk about is what I feel like people ask me the question for the most, the reason why they ask me the question the most, and that is trying to figure out which one to buy because of CFM issues. And here's what I'm going to tell you. There is not a difference in CFM that is enough in any of the vacs, or really most of the features in that matter. You're really paying the additional money for whether Bluetooth is built in, whether you want more capacity, maybe you want an auto clean feature, something like that. Certain vacuums have that, but most of the specs across the board are the same. The noise levels are the same. The CFM is almost the same on all of the vacs. The three smaller vacs that I talked about earlier, the Mini, the Midi, and the CT15, all have 130 CFM. Every other vacuum has 137 CFM. And I wanted to close this video out by talking about that because most times people are always concerned when they ask me, not about capacity, not about any other feature, but I want the most powerful one out of all of them. They're all essentially the same. You have 130 CFM or you have 137 CFM. So I don't ever tell anybody to base their decisions on buying a Festool vacuum on the CFM level. Whether you get the small one or you get the largest one, they're pretty much going to be the same. It's the increased capacity and some of the other features that are possible or some of the other accessories that you can get that really make the difference in the CT vacuums. Hopefully you guys found this video informative. I'm actually really glad that I finally made this video. And I actually wanted to do a really nice video with like all of the vacuums lined up on the table side by side, but I think I'm able to get the same point across just explaining some of the features. Before I let you guys go, I will leave a link to Highland Woodworking down in the video description. They actually have a really, really good side-by-side comparison of their vacuums on their website, and it's the one thing that I send to every single person that really asks me that question or wants to find more information about it. So like I said, I'll leave a link to that down below. If you want to check it out, great. It's just a really good resource to find all of this information that I talked about here and see it side by side with the other vacuums. That's going to do it for this 5-Minute Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.